Well, hello and welcome back to day 2 of your financial empowerment. And today we're going to be discussing where do you stand today financially? Because before we can start making any plans, making any adjustments, we have to know where we are. What are we doing right now with our financial management? So if you turn to page 7 of your workbook, there is an assessment there that is labeled, Where do I stand financially today? So I want you to take a look at that. You're going to look at each question and you're going to mark an X in the box that best applies to you. So I'm going to give you some time to do that, and then we'll come back and we'll go over your answers. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. All right, so did you get your assessment done for how do you stand today financially? So let's go over some of your answers, okay? Now, how we're going to approach this is I'm going to read the question and then I'll let you know, because you could, in some cases, a no could be a good answer. And in some cases, it can be a bad answer, and same thing with the yes. So what I'm going to do is I'll let you know if your answer would be considered a red flag. And when and the point of this exercise is if you have a number of red flags identified in your assessment, that just means that that this workbook is going to help you, and it's going to help you to get on track. If you don't have any red flags, then guess what? You are on good track with your finances, and then I'll be able to help you to get even better. Okay, so let's go over some of these. So, do you ever have to borrow money to make ends meet? If you answer yes to that, of course, that would be what will be defined as a red flag, not having enough money to make ends meet. Okay, when you were growing up as a child, were you taught about managing money? If you answer no to that, then that could be a red flag, but only in the instance where it's no, and maybe you fell into the category of a spender or a generous person, or a naturalist in terms of your behavior, because then that would be a red flag in that category, because you have not been taught some of the basic concepts of managing your money resourcefully. Okay. Do you currently have life insurance? Now, if you answer no to that, I'm going to take that question a step further, because first of all, let me explain the importance of life insurance. Life insurance is for those that you leave behind, okay? So if you have a home that you've purchased and you're married and you have children, then life insurance is encouraged, because when you make your transition and you still have small children at home that maybe there's plans for them to go to college, and you've purchased a home and there's a mortgage outstanding, and maybe your wife stays at home with the kids, and your salary was heavily dependent on in terms of the survival of that household, then it is very important that you have life insurance. So if you answer no to that question, then that would be considered a red flag. Now, let's say your situation is a little bit different. Let's say you're single, you have no dependents, you live in an apartment, and you really just have to vouch for yourself. Insurance may not be necessary for you, except for having maybe some burial insurance, because you're not leaving anyone behind. Now, with that being said, I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of singles out there that like to take care of their nieces and nephews, or maybe there's someone important in your life that you want to leave something to, so you may take out insurance in as an effort or a way to be able to leave something behind for them. But if that is not part of your plans and you don't have that level of responsibility, you actually can manage without having the life insurance. And I will say that you always want to check your life insurance on an annual basis, because as you get older, as your children get older and your situation change, you may not need the same amount of coverage, okay? All right. Have you ever filed or considered filing for bankruptcy? If you answered yes to that, that would be considered a red flag. If your car broke down today and it cost you $500 to get it fixed, do you have the cash, C-A-S-H, to get it fixed? And I'm putting an emphasis on cash because oftentimes when people get into an emergency situation like that, they use a credit card to address it. And so the question is specific to cash. And so if you answer no to that question, then that would be considered a red flag, okay? And so we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about having money set up for emergencies like that as part of setting up your customized spending plan, okay? Do you have credit cards, okay? Now that at this point, if you follow me, you know that I do, my message is that of living a debt-free lifestyle. So I'm not a big advocate of having credit cards, but I know that they are necessary, especially when you travel and things like that. And but the idea is, and you'll see this when we go on to the next question, is your dependency on those credit cards. So if you have those credit cards and you find yourself to be dependent on them, then that answering yes to that could be a red flag. So we go on to the next question to say, do you carry balances? Because the purpose of a credit card, when you use it, you want to pay that credit card off at the end of the month so that you can avoid paying interest associated with the charges that you've made or the purchases that you've made, okay? So you don't really want to carry balances. If you are carrying balances, then that's a sign that you have made a purchase that you truly could not afford, okay? Have you ever used one credit card to pay off another? Okay, now let me qualify that particular question, because there are a lot of, and when I'm dealing with my clients and they're in the debt payoff mode, sometimes I advise them to look for a credit card where they can transfer the balance and pay a 0% interest rate, because there are a lot of deals out there like that. They'll usually let you pay 0% interest rate for 12, 18, some even 24 months. That is a great way to be able to pay down your debt in a debt-free, interest-free environment. And you'll find that your balance will decrease at a more rapid basis than it would if you were paying interest. So I am an advocate of that if you are in a debt pay down cycle or mode. Now, if you're paying off one credit card for another and you're continuously racking up charges, then that is a definite red flag, okay? Do you pay the minimum due on your credit card? That is a definite red flag. You always, like I said earlier, want to pay off the balance, the entire balance at the end of the month. And I know that that's not always possible. And I know that sometimes emergencies come up where you have to use the credit card because you simply don't have that type of cash laying around. But you want to avoid, if at all possible, paying the minimum, and always pay more than the minimum so that you can get that balance paid down faster, okay? Do you enjoy what you do to make a living? Now, that's a question to ponder on. And oftentimes in our professions or what we do for a living, a lot of us don't enjoy what we do for a living. We go to work to basically pay the bills. We're working to make ends meet, and that is why I'm a big advocate of living a debt-free lifestyle, because when you don't have a lot of expenses to deal with, you don't have to make a lot of compromises in terms of what you really want to do with your life. You are in control of your future. You make the decision based on what you want to do, because you don't have bills tying you down, okay? And so if you answered no to that question, you don't enjoy what you do, that could be a red flag that you are tied to debt, and that you just need to get a plan in order so that you can get to the place where you can do what you enjoy doing for a living. Okay. Do you consider your job to be just be a means to pay your bills? And we kind of addressed that a little bit in this. That is a red flag if you answer yes to that, because that means that you are tied down by debt. Okay. If you lose your job, do you have at least 3 months of expenses saved up? If you answered no to that, that is definitely a red flag. You definitely want to have some expenses saved up in the event that you get laid off or downsized from a job, because oftentimes it takes just about that amount of time to find another job. Now, granted, you may be eligible for unemployment, but that is minimal compared to probably the paycheck that you were getting from your full-time job. So you still want to have that emergency fund set up to be able to basically balance out what you're getting from unemployment and be able to cover all of your expenses. Okay. Do you have a monthly budget? If you answered no to that, you already know that you need to make a change in that area. Okay. Are you charged NSF fees from your bank on the regular basis? Okay, that is a definite red flag. And oftentimes the being charged of NSF fees is just a matter of not paying attention to the money that you have going out of your account. And we're going to get you out of that mode. And I'm going to tell you right now, in your customized spending plan, there will not be a line item for NSF fees, because we are going to have you on a path of paying attention to what's coming in and what's going out, which is going to eliminate non-sufficient fund fees. Okay? Do you take advantage of pay now, pay later? That is a red flag. Let me tell you about pay now, pay later. They are dependent on you not to be able to pay that debt off during the time frame that they give you. And what happens with those pay now, pay later is that if you don't have it paid off within the 12 months or 18 months that they've allocated, they go back and charge you interest from the beginning of the creation of that debt. So you want to avoid the pay now, pay later. That's just another form of debt, getting something on credit because you can't afford to make the purchase. Okay? The only income I have coming in when I retire is Social Security. If that is going to be your only income when you retire, that is a definite red flag, and we want to change that for you, because we don't know what's going to happen with Social Security in the future, but it does not look promising. And you want to have some other streams of income coming in your retirement, and you don't want to we want Social Security to be extra. So we want to plan to have other forms of revenue or income coming in during your retirement, and not you be dependent solely on Social Security for survival. Okay? So now you know where you stand financially. Now you've identified what areas that you need help in, and as we go through the workbook will be able to hammer out some of the kinks in terms of your financial management. So tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to go over your expenses, the different types of expenses, as well as how your expenses should be allocated. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow.